Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good evening to Madam Virus and to all my friends. Today, our group will be presenting on critical examination of general science syllabus for Form 5 and Form 4, which is upper secondary science. My name is Esra Soraya binti Mazdan and I will be the first presenter. First, let's learn about textbook. Textbook is a collection of knowledge, concept, and principle of selected topic or course. There are few of advantage and disadvantage of textbook. First of all, textbook give all the plans and lesson need to cover a topic in some detail. It also provide a balanced chronological presentation of information. It also can be an excellent teaching aid for teachers and students and also helps to provide administrators and teachers with complete program based on latest research and teaching strategies. However, if we are over rely on textbook and do not consider other material or aids, it can be a disadvantage. It can also become outdated and insufficiently cover a topic or subject area. It also does not take to the background knowledge into account such as auditory lesson and kinesthetic learner. And the reading level can be too difficult for student or teacher to understand. Therefore, as a teacher, decision need to be made on how to use textbook and whether it is a good textbook or not by looking at several criteria. Next, what is curriculum and syllabus? Curriculum is the overall content taught in an educational system or a course. It can also imply the chapter and academic content taught in school or college. It is set for a course, it has prescriptive nature, and the scope is wide. Curriculum is set up by government or administration of school, whereas syllabus is the document that contains all the portion of concepts covered in a subject, or syllabus is the subject as well as the topic covered in a course of study. It is set for a subject, has descriptive nature, and the scope is narrow, which also set out by exam board. Let us learn about Japan education system by watching this video. The biggest in Japan is that our mind is okay, that's all for the video. General about Japan educational system. Let's move to the science education in Malaysia and Japan. Based on the result of PISA 2012, shows that Japanese science education is more successful than Malaysia in both quality and quantity of science. The level of cognitive level, the level of cognitive and the level of scientific literacy attained is higher for Japan than Malaysia. Thus, this leads to Malaysian science educators and scientists to have a great interest in Japan's science educational program. Malaysia's science education. National Science Education Philosophy stated that science education nurture a science and technology culture by focusing on development of individuals who are competitive, dynamic, robust, and resilient, and able to master scientific knowledge and technological competency. Malaysian science syllabus designed to provide opportunity for students to acquire scientific knowledge and skill. The science curriculum is organized around themes. The curriculum organized around three domains, which are scientific knowledge, skill, and scientific attitude and value. The scientific knowledge consists of the concept, facts, rule, and principle associated with biological, chemical, and physical process, as well as astronomy and technology, while skill mean critical thinking skill for inquiries and problem solving. The attitude and value instilled through experiential learning either spontaneously or through planned activity by teacher. Next, Japan science education. In 1996, the zest for living reform became a driving force for educators, teachers, and families in their attempt to prepare Japanese students for 2001 century. Curriculum consists of three parts, which is overall objective for level, objective and content for each grade, and syllabus design. All schools required to address all components of science instruction by formulating an overall plan for science, which are objective and content, qualities, abilities, attitude to be fostered, learning activities, teaching methodology and framework, and evaluation of learning. If you want to know, Japanese school laboratories are equipped with the same technology due to Science Education Promotion Law to assure the opportunity for every student. They also have teacher have in-service training courses by Board of Education which is mandatory. Next is Malaysia curriculum and Japan curriculum. Malaysia curriculum consists of second education which is level 1 for grade 1 until 3, mostly consists of reading, writing, and arithmetic skill. And level 2 for grade 4 until grade 6 consists of reinforcement the mastery of basic skill and strong foundation in science and mathematics. In secondary education, there are two levels, which is lower secondary and upper secondary. For lower secondary level is KSSM. I'm sorry, lower secondary level is from grade 1 until 3. The core Malaysia, the core Malaysian, sorry, the core will be Malay subject, English, mathematics, science, history, Islamic, moral, and civic, while compulsory will be geography, living skill, physical and health education, visual art, and music, while the additional language will be the additional subject. Next, let's look at upper secondary level, which for Form 4 and Form 5. For your information, Form 4 for this syllabus will be using KSSM. However, Form 5 will be used KBSM. The core subject is are Malaysia, which means Malay subject, English, science, mathematics, history, Islamic or moral education. For compulsory subject will be physical and health education. The elective will be language, Islamic studies, humanity and literature, science, technology, engineering and mathematics. Whereas Japan curriculum will be revised every 10 years. It is set up logically with information content that is covered step by step. The content is highly demanding and set up what student needs to understand in order to progress. For Japan curriculum, there are three levels. Which first is primary school, second is secondary school, and the last one is Japan upper secondary school, which also means high school. Primary school for grade 1 until 6. The subject will be Japanese, social studies, mathematics, science, music, art, and physical education. Whereas secondary school have the same curriculum with primary school, however, with the additional of field trip, clubs, and homeroom time. For your information, homeroom time is for teachers to make announcement, discipline student, and for students to do administrative duties. Japan Upper Secondary School Science Curriculum, which is for grade 10 until 12, also known as high school or senior high school. Japan Upper Secondary School Science also indicate the non-compulsory education. It provides general or specialized education in the main format. There are three main formats, which is full-time, part-time, and correspondent. The admission to high school is based on test result and competition for acceptance. The overall objectives are to develop students' ability and positive attitude to inquire into nature through observation and experiment, to enhance their understanding of fundamental concepts of matter and phenomenon in nature. Lastly, to develop students' scientific view of nature. There are 5 standard courses for science, which are Integrated Science, which will be divided into Science 1 and Science 2, Earth Science, Biology, Chemistry, and Physics. For your information, Science 2 is an extension of Science 1, and almost no one takes Science 2. The scope for critical examination will be coverage of the theme, number and arrangement of the topics, learning objective and learning outcomes, scientific key concept, and possible misconception across the topic. Next, we'll look at curriculum specification for Form 4 Science. For your information, the topic selected for this curriculum specification will be quite the same with Japan topic for Japan curriculum. First is team maintenance and continuity of life. In this curriculum specification for Form 4, we use in KSSM. In this curriculum specification, it consists of theme, learning area, content standard, learning standard, and also notes. For this topic, which is environmental sustainability and energy sector, is the same as Japan curriculum, which more to energy sector. The learning standards show that what students need to achieve or need to know after learning this subject. And the notes for the curriculum specification usually will suggest activity to conduct in classroom and also additional notes. Next is genetic. In Japan curriculum, it also contains about cell division. So that's why I choose this topic, which is genetic, mostly on biology. In this learning standard, students need to explain gene deoxyribonucleic acid, which is DNA, and chromosome in nucleus. The suggested activity for this cell division topic will be use multimedia illustration to show the structure of DNA, nucleotides, and chromosome. You can also build double helix structure of DNA for students to understand more. And for the additional note, you need to introduce karyotype, which is autosome and sex chromosome. Next will be body coordination. In this topic, we will learn about human endocrine system, which also same with homeostasis, which also contain in Japan curriculum's topic. Students need to be able to explain endocrine system and its function for its learning standard, and the suggested activity is to make multimedia presentation showing the main endocrine gland, which are pituitary gland, thyroid gland, adrenal gland, pancreas, ovaries, and testes, and also their function. You also need sorry that you also need to note that hormones that need to be explained are antidiuretic hormone, ADH, adrenaline, insulin, thyroxine, estrogen, and testosterone. Next is elements and substance. In this topic, you will learn about matter, which is more to chemistry. Students need to be able to explain with example atoms, molecules, and ions, and also explain the existence of elements in various forms. The suggested activity will be creating a multimedia presentation about material made of atoms, molecules, and ions in daily life. For example, iron. There's hammer. Hammer is a material that is made up of iron atom. However, rust is also a material that is made up of iron. However, it's made up of ion. Next example is hydrogen. Air. Air contains hydrogen gas exists as a molecule. However, lime juice has hydrogen exists as ion. Lastly, force and motion. You can see from the topic force and motion, which is linear motion, is consists or commonly known as physics. Students will be able to explain the difference between distance and displacement and their units in daily life when they learn this topic. Activity that can be carried out in a class is by showing the difference between distance and displacement of two locations on a map. You can also introduce measuring instruments like meter ruler, measuring tape, road meter, and laser range meter. Next is curriculum specification Form 4 science. Curriculum specification for Form 5 science. The theme will be balance and management of the environment. Learning Area 1, preservation and conservation of the environment. In this curriculum specification, we use KBSM, which contain theme, learning area, learning objective, suggested learning activity, learning outcome, notes, and vocabulary. For this topic is analyzing balance in nature, which also same with one of the Japanese curriculum Earth Science. One of the learning activities that has been suggested by this curriculum specification are view video or computer simulation and discuss. Next, you can also visit a garden and carry out activities and also gather information from books, newspaper, magazine, and internet on natural disaster. The learning outcome that student will be able to get is student will be able to describe what balance or in nature is, the nature state the natural cycles to help maintain balance in nature, explain how this cycle maintain balance in nature, explain how food web helps in maintain balance in nature, also example the effect of natural disaster on balance, and able to suggest ways to maintain balance in nature. For the notes, there is none. However, for the vocabulary that used in this topic is balance in nature, which means keseimbangan alam, and food web, which means suratan makanan. Next is matter in nature. The learning area is carbon compound. The topic will be learned is analyzing various carbon compounds. As you can see, carbon compounds have similarity with chemistry. The learning activity that has been suggested is observe various samples of carbon and non-carbon compound. You can also view videos or computer simulation and discuss. And also carry out activity to compare and contrast organic and inorganic compound. You can illustrate the similarities and difference in a graphic organizer. You can also classify sample of carbon compounds into organic and inorganic compound and gather information from books, magazine, and internet. The learning outcome that student needs to be able to state what carbon compound, organic compound, and give example of organic compound. Instead, what inorganic compound, give example of organic compound, compare and contrast, classify, so learn about what hydrocarbon and list source of hydrocarbon. The vocabulary used for this topic will be carbon compound, which means sebatian carbon, organic compounds, sebatian organic, inorganic compounds, sebatian tak organic, hydrocarbon means hydrocarbon. Next is force and motion. Based on the theme force and motion, you can know that this was commonly also known as physics. In this topic, you will analyzing the motion of vehicle on land. There are few suggested activity such as observe a bicycle and discuss the structure and principle of operation. You can also view charts, videos, and computer simulation and discuss. In this topic, students will be able to describe structure and principle of operation of vehicle without engine. The structure and principle of operation also explain the structure and operation of four-stroke petrol engine, two-stroke petrol engine, and lastly, you can compare and contrast the four-stroke petrol engine with the four-stroke diesel engine. The vocab used in this topic will be four-stroke petrol engine, which means engine petrol 4 lejang, and four-stroke diesel engine, which means engine diesel 4 lejang. Lastly, two-stroke petrol engine, which means engine petrol 2 lejang. Next, what can we conclude based on the last slide that we have learned? First, textbook is a good guide for students and teachers in learning and teaching session. However, teachers need to evaluate it because it can be outdated and contain some information that can lead to misconception. In this topic, we use Japan as a comparison because Malaysia look up to Japan as a model for science and technology development, in which Japan ranked top in science and mathematics in the program for International Student Assessment, which also known as PISA. Japan's science education focus on cultivation on individuality by giving more free time to foster interest in nature, science and technology, while Malaysia's science education focus on knowledge and skill. Japanese high school is non-compulsory and is more flexible and it has three formats which give students additional time to study and gain experience unlike high school in Malaysia. Lastly, the curriculum specification used as a guide for teachers to know and understand on what needs to cover and suggestion of method to teach. This is the reference I use to make this slide. That's all. Thank you for me.